The real estate industry is about to change forever, and if you do not have a repeatable, duplicatable way to get new clients, you're going to be left behind. My favorite way to get clients is from my YouTube channel, but most realtors are doing it totally wrong. So if you want a successful YouTube channel that will bring you paying clients, here are the things you absolutely have to focus on. And I'm going to tell you the biggest mistake that I see most real estate agents making it, which caused them to work on their channel and make videos for months and years and never get any business from it. But more on that later. Before you hit record on your very first video, you have to know where to spend your time, what is important to focus on, and what doesn't matter. There is no point making videos if it's not bringing you any results. So here are the top 3 things that you have to focus on with your brand new YouTube channel. You need titles that are so intriguing, people stop what they're doing, they click, and they watch the video. You need scroll-stopping thumbnails that catch the eye. And you need to give the YouTube platform what it wants, which is more watch time. So let's dive right in. Number 1, good titles. You cannot name your video something like 47 Islanders Retreat. What does that even mean? Is it an address? Is it a luxury beachfront property? Is it the cheapest house in town? If there's any confusion with the title, or if there's nothing exciting about it at all, no one is going to click on it, and therefore no one will ever see your video. Our goal is to make videos that show up organically on YouTube so that you don't have to pay for any ads at all. By having a really good title, it accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it eliminates all of the confusion. The viewer can read the title and have a pretty good idea of what you're going to talk about in that video. And even more important, they feel compelled to watch it. You've asked a question that they're just dying to know the answer to. You've opened a loop, and now they have to click on the video to close the loop. We also know that the human brain is drawn more toward the negative titles than the positive titles. And if you don't believe me, just go to your YouTube homepage. You'll see a lot more videos called "The Condo Crisis in Florida" versus "Condos for Sale in South Florida." And you know this is true. Let me ask you, have you ever clicked on a video that was something you would not normally watch simply because it sounded so interesting? I have stuff show up on my homepage all the time that is not something that I would ever search for, but it looks so intriguing, I end up clicking and watching, and then YouTube keeps showing me more and more videos like that. It happens to me all the time. What about you? So I want you to decide what your video will be about, and then spend the next half hour brainstorming titles for that video. When I sat down to think about this video, I spent so much time thinking about what would make a really compelling title that would make you want to click on it. And hopefully, if you're here, I did a good job. Because with the proposed changes that the NAR settlement is suggesting, you've got to figure out a way to fill your pipeline over and over again on autopilot 24/7 without having to go buy leads and without having to run a bunch of expensive ads. Our industry is going to change forever come July, and you've got to be in charge of your own destiny, which means knowing how to make content that will attract people who see your value. They know who you are, they like you, and they trust you. And most importantly, they are willing to pay for your expertise because they see the value that you provide. Gone are the days where you're just going to show up, unlock a door, and write an offer and collect a paycheck. And this is actually a really good thing in my view. Too many agents rely on that to be their bread and butter, and they give us a bad name. The consumer thinks that that's all we do. We show up, we unlock the door, we collect a big fat check. I am so tired of seeing comments like these that pop up on my videos where they say things like, "Realtors are all terrible. They don't know what they're doing. They're overpaid. You guys, boo-hoo, you complain that you work so hard. You collect an obscene amount of money for doing nothing." This is what the consumer thinks of, because when they go to those big portals and they say, "I would like more information on 123 Main Street," you show up, you unlock the door, you write the offer, you collect a big fat check. That's all they see you do. They don't know all of the things that you do that deserve your paycheck. We've got to change the public's perception. And as many things as I don't like about the proposed settlement, this is actually a thing I'm really happy about, because now all of the agents who've been lazy and have not gone out of their way to do a better job for the consumer are either going to be forced to level up their performance and be better in their job, or they're probably going to leave the industry. And if they were that bad to begin with, that they're not willing to try and learn anything new, then I'm not going to be really sorry to see them go. So if you are currently getting all of your business from those portals and you're buying leads, you are in for a very rude awakening come July. Now is the time to learn how to start doing these things to attract people to you and start fishing for yourself instead of going to the supermarket and buying a fish. Figure out what your ideal client's pain point is and then solve it for them. Figure out what their question is and then answer it for them. Make content where you are showing up and you're freely giving all of this information over and over and over again. You will demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. You will demonstrate your competence, and you will earn their trust and their respect. Let's collectively decide that as an industry, we need to be better about showing the consumers what it is that we do on a daily basis, how hard we work for them, the knowledge that we have. This guy who said you can't even identify a load-bearing wall. I can probably 90% of the time identify a load-bearing wall, but I'm not a contractor and I'm not going to say this is a load-bearing wall if in fact it is not, or vice versa, and be wrong. The same way I'm not going to give you legal advice because I'm not an attorney, and I'm not going to give you financial advice because I'm not a CPA. I'm also not going to give you foundational advice about the property that you are buying or selling if I don't 100% know the answer. I think I know the answer, but if I'm not a general contractor, I'm not qualified to give you the answer. And it's a little bit unrealistic that the consumer would think that just because you know how to buy and sell real estate and interpret the contract and make sure that your client is not going to put themselves in breach of contract or agree to things that are within their control but not in their best interest, or agree to things that are not in their control and not in their best interest, doesn't mean that I should be able to enter the crawl space and identify every piece of electricity and plumbing and all of the things to do with a house. I didn't build a house. I'm not a house builder. I'm a house seller. Man, I'm getting all fired up again. If you haven't seen my video about what the NAR settlement means for consumers, it's not what you think. You need to watch that one next. Man, did I go off on a rant. And the realtors loved it. And the consumers, whoo, they could not wait to tear me apart in the comments. But I love seeing all the back and the forth in the comments, because if this is what the consumer thinks of our industry, then it just shows me that we need to do a better job of letting them know what it is that we do. Do they have any idea that we work for free for months and months and months and months with no guarantee of ever getting a paycheck at the end? We're just basically hoping that the deal comes together at the end. But what if it doesn't? I can't tell you how many times in the 19 years that I've been in real estate, the deal fell apart at the 11th hour through no fault of my client, but then nobody got what they wanted. The seller didn't sell, the buyer didn't buy, the agents didn't get paid. There's a reason why we have this commission-based setup. It's because the agents take all of the risk. You don't go to work and hope that you get paid every 2 weeks. You go to work with the expectation that you're going to collect your paycheck every other Friday or twice a month. It's not how it happens with real estate. It is all about the risk that we take, hoping that it's all going to work out in the end. And usually it does, but sometimes it doesn't. And everyone is heartbroken in the end when that doesn't happen. I didn't come up with the way that real estate agents get paid. Do I agree that that's the best way to do it? Maybe, maybe not. There's certainly different other ways that people could be compensated as well. But I saw a beautiful analogy. My friend Chi Yan did a video on TikTok where he said, what if we just went to a flat hourly rate? Okay, so you're a buyer. You want to buy your first property, and I'm going to charge you $50 an hour. I'm going to show you properties. I'm going to write the offers for you. And let's say that you're in a multiple offer situation. My friend from New Jersey said, I was in a multiple offer situation, 15 other offers. Most of them were paying cash and waiving the appraisal contingency. If you're a first-time buyer, you're going to write a lot of offers before that offer gets accepted. Do you really have $5,000 lying around to pay your real estate agent on an hourly rate to keep writing offers over and over and over and over and over again until one finally gets accepted? And maybe it's not even your dream home. It's just the one that you were able to get. You're absolutely settling. You're not in love with this home, but it was this or nothing and continue to rent. How are you going to feel when you're just forking out that kind of money to do this over and over again? Eventually, you're going to say, you know what? I'm tapped out. I'm done. Let's just rent for another year. I give up. Let's try again another time. I totally went off on a tangent. That has nothing to do with YouTube. So sorry. Let's move on to thumbnails. The first thing you need to know is that the text on your thumbnail, if any, is not a complete duplicate of what your title is. Your title and your thumbnail are next to each other. They're either side by side or they're top and bottom. It is a waste of valuable real estate, pun totally intended, to put the same title on the text of the thumbnail. It doesn't make sense to have it the same. We can already see them side by side. There is no reason to have the same text in both places. Your thumbnail and your text go together like peanut butter and jelly, but they don't go together like peanut butter and peanut butter. You would not make a peanut butter and peanut butter sandwich. The thumbnail should be eye-catching and get them to stop the scroll so that then they look at the title and they read it and they decide, oh, this sounds interesting. I think I'm going to click on it and watch it. They should understand what the video is going to be about based on the title and thumbnail, and you're introducing some sort of question that they want to have answered. And the only way they'll get the answer is if they watch the video. But what do you do if graphic design does not come naturally to you? It does not come naturally to me. And I made my own thumbnails in Canva for a very long time. And then I started trying different apps on my phone. Listen, they were not good. In no stretch of the imagination would anybody ever say, wow, that was a great looking thumbnail. They were not. I know it. You know it. That's okay. We can all admit that we were not that good when we first started. If you can pay someone else to make it for you, I highly recommend that you do that, because if you double your click-through rate, you double the amount of views you get on your video. This can make a huge difference to a small YouTube channel. The number of views per video and then the number of views on the channel as a whole can explode exponentially just by doubling your click-through rate. So if you're not going to be buying leads from the portals anymore, and I highly recommend that you stop yesterday, reallocate that money that you were spending, not even all of it, just a small portion of it, to somebody with some graphic design skills that can make some really good looking thumbnails. Just look at the difference between one of my recent thumbnails, which was killing it, and one of the ones that I used to make. This old one, it is not good looking, but this one, oh my gosh, it had an over 11% click-through rate. Which one would you click on? I'll tell you exactly which one they would click on. This one with the 11% click-through rate. When you have a video with a really good title and an eye-stopping thumbnail, YouTube is going to promote it to more people. They're going to say, hey, we have this video that you might enjoy watching. And the more people that click on it, the more YouTube says, oh, they really like this video. This is getting a good click-through rate. They appear to like this thumbnail. They like the title. They think that this is an interesting topic. They want to watch it. And because they're getting that feedback, they're then going to show it to even more people. And they're going to keep repeating that. They show it to an audience. They see how it does. It does well, show it to a new audience. It does well, show it to a new audience. They keep doing this over and over again. It's kind of like back in the day when you would go to the mall and Mrs. Fields Cookies was there. Somebody was always standing in the hallway with a little tray, and they would say, would you like to try a free sample of our hot chocolate chip cookies fresh out of the oven? People would say yes. They would eat the cookie and say, oh my gosh, these are so good. They would go right to the counter and they would buy more cookies. They'd buy a whole box of cookies or a bag of cookies because the free sample was so good, it made them want more. This was obviously a brilliant strategy, and this was how Mrs. Fields turned into the huge company that it later became. Where did they go? What happened to Mrs. Fields? They're just gone. I haven't seen one in forever. But then again, I haven't seen a mall in forever either. But what if Mrs. Fields was standing there with her little tray and she said, would you like to try a free sample of our newest flavor? It's called pickle and pumpkin spice. And everybody said, oh my God, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. No. And nobody took the free sample. They would not keep trying to offer it to new people and new people and new people. They'd offer it to a bunch of people and say, okay, nobody took our free sample. Apparently, this was not a very successful flavor profile. Let's just call it a day and let's start over with something new. And that's kind of how the YouTube algorithm works. They will offer it, and if people click on it and it's well received, then they'll do it again and they'll do it again and again. But if they offer it and nobody wants it, and they offer it again and nobody wants it, eventually they just stop offering it. So your job is to never, ever, ever make a pickle and pumpkin spice video again. That sounds so disgusting. I can hardly say it out loud. Which brings me to the third thing that you have to focus on, and that is watch time. YouTube's primary goal is to put the right video in front of the right viewer at the right time, even on the right platform. YouTube wants to bring people to their platform and then keep them there watching videos for as long as possible. So if we give YouTube what it wants, it will help us get what we want. The better we are able to increase watch time for the platform, the better our videos and our channel will perform. We can do this in a couple of different ways. More videos, longer videos, better videos, and my personal favorite, better and longer videos. Now, before you freak out because I said better, hear me. I do not mean going to hire a professional cameraman who's going to come to your office and whip out his $10,000 camera and film you so that you look like you were on the 6 o'clock news. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm talking about being better on camera, letting your personality shine through, making eye contact with the camera lens, using some inflection in your voice and some excitement on your face, being willing to take a stand and say something a little bit controversial, even if it's the opposite of what a lot of other people think, not because you're trying to get more clicks, not because it's clickbait, but because you actually believe in that and you're willing to take a stand and tell people what you really think. The more videos you have on your channel, the more opportunities you have to get found, the more opportunities YouTube has to promote your videos on your behalf. Stop making videos that are 2.5 minutes long. It doesn't work on YouTube. I know so many real estate agents in my community who intentionally make shorter videos because they seem to think that nobody has the attention span anymore. And so they're making short form videos on purpose to try to stop the scroll and get the eyeballs. But what they fail to realize is that when they're making short form content, they are putting it in front of people whose only motivation for watching that content is to be entertained. They're not putting horizontal long form videos in front of people whose motivation is to solve a problem or answer a question. They have a problem, they are looking for the solution. They're willing to watch a longer video to get the answer. They're not clicking on your video because they want mindless entertainment. Your videos on YouTube need to be horizontal and longer. If you want to make vertical short form content, that's fine, but don't expect it to grow your real estate YouTube channel. Last summer, I spent 90 days making vertical short form content and it pretty much ruined my channel. So I'm going to link to that one here next if you want to watch that after we're done here and see exactly what that did to my channel. Spoiler alert, it was not good. If you don't have a YouTube channel yet, watch this one next where I show you how to create a channel in only 10 minutes a day. You'll have a channel in a week or less. But if you do have a channel and your videos are not performing very well, watch this one next. This title strategy is so genius. It doubled and tripled my click-through rate on almost every single video that I tried it on.